Wynand has risen from nothing to a position of great wealth and power. I saw this as an example of one who has realized the so-called American dream to the fullest. But the very fact that the perfect capitalist is introduced with a gun to his head, too indifferent to even end himself, is to me Rand's way of snapping at us. The second-hander will not be fulfilled even if he attains everything in the world. For Wynand, the defining moment was when he looked at the city and decided to rule it at the age of 16. A moment of empowerment and a choice that would define his life, a moment where he actually locked the chain around his neck. We all have moments and times in our lives when we knowingly or less knowingly become slaves. You have said very rightly many times that suffering and slavery never come to us as suffering and slavery, but as imposters, as well-wishers. That's how we take them in. That's also how Wynand takes it in. So now comes the question in bold. How do we see these moments, situations as they are? Vigilance is a challenge. When the power over an entire city is offered to you in exchange for your soul. And I know that I have sold myself for far less than a city. Oh, please guide gratitude. Julius from Hungary. No, tonight not from Hungary, from Finland. Right. It's not about specific moments, Julius. It's not that Keating or Toohey or Wynand, or for that matter even Dominique, lost it out in specific moments. It's not about moments. Those moments only demonstrate a final outcome. The process is an ever-continuing one. Let's focus on the process. Everybody lives by a certain philosophy. Man is a philosophizing animal. No animal has a philosophy. And every human being, even the half-brained one, definitely has a philosophy. You need no education to be a philosopher. For most other learnings in life, you probably require some kind of education. But to have a philosophy, you do not require education. You just require to be conscious, even half conscious, even dimly conscious, and you'll have a philosophy. Animals have no philosophy. Animals just have their animal nature, prakriti. They do not need a philosophy. But man has a consciousness that is searching for a final truth, a final dissolution. Man is a dissatisfied animal. All philosophy results from this dissatisfaction. We want to know what the hell is really going on. Because what is going on is keeping us discontented. Since it is keeping us discontented, we want to know it in order to better it or get out of it. Are you getting it? Gail Wynand lost out on the front of philosophy. There are long discussions between him and Dominique in particular, and occasionally between him and Alva Iscariot, where it is very clear what his philosophy of life is. His philosophy of life does not believe in total unity of the self. He does not say that I am what I am. He says, I am what I am in context of this theater called the world. So he just cannot keep the world away from himself as a reference point. He sees himself in backdrop of the world. Whenever he looks at himself, he ensures that he is also looking at the world. There is nothing called non-duality in his approach, in his philosophy. When you perceive to, then you value to, because whatever is perceived as real. If it is unreal, why would you perceive it? Then you would just ignore it. He doesn't ignore, he perceives. He perceives, he conceptualizes, he gives value, he gives importance. And when you give importance to something, then you become vulnerable to that thing. Roark does not give importance to the world at all. The world really does not exist for him. The world, even if it exists for him, exists just as his stage. Roark is the performer. The world is to be used just as a stage. He does not exist on the stage to gather applause from the audience. He exists on the stage for his own sake. He says, I need clients just to build. I do not need clients in order to please clients. I do not want to judge my clients. I do not even want to interfere in the lives of my clients. And if I do not want to interfere in their lives, obviously I am not going to allow them to interfere in mine. Wynand's philosophy is not so evolved. He says that if there is greatness, then greatness must be respected by the world. He keeps on talking of the world. He does talk of what Roark talks of. In that matter, he is Roark's equivalent. In that matter, even Dominique is Roark's equivalent. But he also talks of something additionally. He talks of the world just too much. Look at how he names his yacht. He calls it I do. Why does he call it I do? Because there were people who would taunt him saying, you don't run things around here. And he heard that 100 times. He came from an underprivileged background. And people were quick to throw taunts at him. They would jibe. Hey, who are you? Coming from Hell's Kitchen? You don't run things around here. His yacht is his answer to the entire world. He says, I do. What do? I do run things around here. He gives the world just too much importance. He reacts. You react to the world only when you take the world as real and important. This duality in his philosophy proves to be his undoing. Roark knows of only one solid entity, his inner greatness, his heart. He does not know what the world would do. Dominic goes to meet him when he is in Clayton, Ohio. And she asks him how much has he done over the last 2 years. She comes to know he has done only a couple of buildings. She shivers. She says, it's the query time. Again, Roark, I see that the query is returning to your life. Roark says, if necessary. Fine, it's okay. She says, but I see you staying in that quarry all life. He says, no, that won't happen. The world is neither a great place, nor is it a sordidly evil place. If I have to come to the quarry again, I will do that. At the same time, I will not become a cynic. I will not start saying, oh, the quarry is my fate. The world does not respect greatness. Wynand and Dominic both are alike in the sense that both are cynical. They don't really believe that only the truth, the inner truth, can exist in its own individual, undivided, non-dualistic opulence and brilliance. Dominic asks him, don't you believe in that thing called greatness? Gail says, I worship it, but I worship it as an idea. It does not really exist. Are you getting it? Dominic asks, don't you believe in that great thing, man's grandeur, man's inner divinity? Gail says, I believe it, but I believe in it merely as an idea. As an idea, I worship it, but I don't think it really exists. The world is a bad place. Again, hurt. Gail is hurt and Dominic is hurt. That's what keeps them together, And that's what keeps both of them separated from Roark. As long as you give value to the world, you will also allow yourself to be hurt by the world. And if you allow the world to hurt you, then you will not be able to do what you must do. So Gail Wynand becomes a renegade. He deserved to be a Roark. He becomes the banner man. Towards the end of the novel, when the two men meet for the last time, Gail Wynand tells Roark, I'm giving you the commission for the Wynand building. And I do not want to ever see your face again. I will never meet you again. You will keep getting your payments, but we will never meet again because, I have failed you. He says, I wanted the building to commemorate my life, but I now know that there is nothing to commemorate. My life has been a failed one. And now you can go away. You will have your money. Make the building the way you like it. There will be no shortage of funds. And nobody is going to interfere. The commission is totally yours. And Roark is just about to exit from Wynand's room for the last time. Wynand tells him, let the building be a tribute to the spirit that is yours. And then he adds, and could have been mine. Goosebumps. Let the building be a tribute to the spirit that is yours and could have been mine. That's his undoing. That's where his philosophy has gone wrong. He hasn't stuck to the spirit. He has added something to the spirit. What has he added to the spirit? The world. The world matters. To Roark, only the spirit matters. To Wynand, the spirit does matter. But along with the spirit, the world also matters. And if the world matters even a little to you, it will start obfuscating your spirit. You cannot have these two together. You cannot say, my spirit matters to me and so does the world. If the world matters even a little, you will find that you are left with only the world. You have lost out on the spirit. Before marrying Gail, Dominic goes to Roark and says, I want to stay with you. Roark says no. says, I'm marrying Gail Wynand. If you tell me not to, I'll immediately call off the marriage. The two of us will get married and will live happily ever after. Roark says no. And when Roark is about to drop her at the railway station, Dominic asks, Roark, till when? Roark, till when are we going to remain separated? And Roark says, till the time you allow yourself to be hurt by the tea shop owner, by the truck driver, by the newspaper columnist, the journalist, by the man on the street. Till the time you are afraid of the world, till the time you allow the world to mean too much to you. We cannot be one, Dominic. We cannot be one. Gail and Dominic are brother and sister in spirit. It's incidental that they marry, but they are actually twins. In fact, they are mirror marriages. There is hardly any difference between them. What do both of them do? Both try to break the spirit wherever they can find it. That's the effect that the world can have even upon the worshippers of the spirit. If you allow the world to mean too much to you, then you will not merely stray away from the spirit, you will actually become active enemies of the spirit, as Dominic and Wynand become. Dominic tries to break down Roark by snatching away his commissions and putting them all in Keating's lap. And Wynand was infamous for wreaking havoc on anybody who was perceived to have any bit of integrity. Do you see what is happening? Instead of worshipping the spirit, both become enemies of the spirit. That is what happens to those who allow the world to mean reality. Roark, in some sense, is a perfect non-dualist. You ask him the world, he says, where is it? Adi Shankaracharya would have been proud of him. Advaita walking through the streets. Where is the world? Jagat Mithya. It's just that he doesn't use the word Brahm. But Jagat Mithya, certainly. Jagat Mithya means the world is an illusion. An illusion not worth caring for. Are you getting it, Julius? So it is not these specific dangerous movements you have to watch out against. Your entire worldview, your philosophy of life, what do you take life as? What do you care for? It is not without reason or purpose or utility that all the great philosophers, especially in the East, have been asking men to be cautious of the world. If you're not cautious of the world, then see what happens in the Fountainhead. You know the beauty of Roark, he's not even fighting the world. You get liberated from even the obligation to fight the world when you say that the world is a mere Illusion. I don't bother. See how the whole thing opens. It says, Roark could have walked naked through the city. What is he saying? Who is there to see me? There is no one. Jagat Mithya. I don't bother. Stanton refuses to accord him a degree. Ramana Maharshi would have approved. Roark says, who is there to give me a degree? Who will give and to whom? There is no degree. And there is no receiver of the degree. The Avdhuta is smiling. Dattatreya is approving. And Dominic is sentimental. You know. Remember that you can be sentimental only with respect to the world. Gail is sentimental as well. When Roark is put in the jail for a while, Gail takes it very badly. When Dominic goes to meet Roark before her wedding with Gail, and as they are walking towards the railway station, a stray page of a newspaper comes flying in the wind. And sticks to her body against the pressure of the air. You know that, right? A stray page comes flying because the wind is blowing you away. And it just sticks to your body for a while. And Dominic takes the page, folds it, and tries to keep it in her bag. Roark says, what exactly are you doing? Dominic is not an expert at lies. So very stupidly, she says, oh, I'll have something to read in the train. Roark knows what she is doing. She is trying to preserve something as a souvenir, as a memento. Roark refused to touch her in that meeting. She had said, Roark, can I stay with you tonight? Roark refused to allow her. He won't touch her. So she just wanted that little page as a memory of something that touched her in Roark's presence. She said, fine, if you didn't touch me, at least this one did in your presence. I'll keep this close to my heart. That's how deeply sentimental Dominic is. Girls. And Wynand, the Superman, is another little girl. One policeman that he used to respect gets arrested. And this one was the only one Wynand knew to have any integrity. It happened when Wynand was still a small town worker in some small newspaper, probably the Gazette. And so he goes to another columnist. And this columnist, he perceived to be honest. And tells him, 3 years back you had written a beautiful article on honesty. Today an honest officer has been fraudulently arrested and accused of malpractices. Shouldn't we launch a campaign? He doesn't say this much. I'm just elaborating it for you. And that author, that writer, that columnist, he says, do you expect me to remember every piece of crap that I ever write? And Wynand is deeply, deeply hurt. You know what he does? He comes back, himself writes a deeply indictive and bitter piece on the officer who has been arrested and publishes it. He says, now I have known that honesty does not exist, and because honesty does not exist, I'll be the first one to assault honesty. This police officer that I wanted to protect, I myself will slaughter him. That kind of a reaction. Are you getting it? You have to take everything happening around you as mere the game of Maya. You have to very, very fastidiously stand within yourself. You cannot allow all this to influence what you must do. You must act on the stage of the world, but you must not act as per the world. These are very different things. Do you get it? One thing is to dance, and if the audiences are watching, it's all right. The other thing is to dance as per demand of the audience. And the audience is quite demanding. They will say this, that, repeat, encore. Don't they do all that? Once more. And they may applaud or they may abuse. Bouquets, brickbats. Dance we all must. And if the audience helps facilitate your dance, use the audience. But do not dance for the audience. Are you getting it? The audience has to be there. The stage and the audience go together, right? Wherever there is a stage, you also have an audience, no? You at least have seats for the audience. So these two will go together. That's the thing about being born. You have to operate within the theater of the world. Operate within the theater of the world. But do not operate for the sake of the world. Have the right philosophy. Are you getting it? Have the right philosophy.